Welcome back. I'm Amy Jane. This is lesson number 7. We've been working on complicated objects, and we're going to continue that idea. I've got a wonderful technique for you that's going to help develop your mind and your art eye. You know, my lessons aren't about how to just draw something basic, do this, do that. My lessons are designed to start to get you to think and to see differently and to make art differently and to give you the skills that you need to get to do the art that you want to do. My lessons are all about this and doing this. You need to have a pencil in your hand. By actually drawing, that's the only way it's going to happen for you. It's a little bit struggly, I know. You need to be struggling to get this hand to do what you want it to do. But the more you do it, the better you will get. It's about learning and growing and developing and connecting your whole self to the creative process. So let us get started. Simple exercise. Get you to think. To begin with, all you're going to need is your pencil, piece of paper, and kneaded eraser if you've got it. Getting a hold of some good art supplies is a good thing. I've put links in the description below that'll guide you to my recommended stuff. Help support me, send a little love, and use the links when you order your supplies. Feel free to use that pause button, as always. Okay, are you ready to get started? So to start with our simple technique, we're going to think about dividing up something complicated. I want you to start out by thinking of a window. Just imagine it. Starts with a simple rectangle. If you need to look at a window, you can, but we know what a window looks like. So most windows are divided in half. And some windows, maybe that's the thicker half with the little lock right there. Some windows have panes. So again, we would divide another half, another half, another half. This is such a simple thing, but if you're looking at something that's more complicated than this simple window, it's going to help you tremendously. For example, the Notre Dame Cathedral. Now this would be a perfect time to start breaking things down from large shapes, then smaller and smaller and smaller, just dividing up things like that window. Let's do another window, this time more intricate. Let's imagine a nice long window across some building or something. And let's say this window had a series of different shapes. And so again, I'm going to just think about dividing. Now this time I'm going to divide into thirds. So I'm just going to use my eye. And this is not thirds. I did not get an even third. I'm trying to get even thirds. Okay, so as always, I'm teaching you whenever I mess up. It's a great opportunity. We're all gonna mess up. You know what? We're humans. So, how do I think about thirds? You just kind of have to eyeball it. You kind of have to think about how big it would be. You can kind of think about where the middle is, but you're not going to go directly in the middle. That would be fourths. You're going to try, actually, I don't know, thinking about the middle, some might confuse me a little. I'm just going to adjust, because this is a little wider. So now that I made those marks, I can kind of adjust in. And I'm just going to take, here's a technique too. I can take my pencil and I can say, yeah, that's pretty good, actually. So now we'll darken those in. And this is our 1/3 windows, more complicated. Now on each of these thirds, this window that I'm imagining, and you're going to imagine whatever a window you want, has a little arch here, a little Gothic architecture. So I'm just going to add that. Now, even within that design and that pattern, there's going to be more division. So again, I'm going to go for dividing half into each of these thirds. Our little arch is up at the top. I'm just making an indication of it. And then our windows are long and narrow, each half getting divided into half. And I'm just thinking about, also I'm going to do another thirds here, but this time I'm going to start, this is like drafting and architecture. This time I'm going to start where the arch ends, and I'm going to make half, actually no, I'm going to make a third on each of those. Just eyeballing, using my pencil to see, do I get them about even? Yep. That'll take you some time to, what I want to, doing the eyeball technique will take you some time. But I'm thinking of thirds, so I see my little archway, and then each window has a division of thirds. And this whole exercise that I'm doing for you now is just to kind of get a grasp on what it is to do more complicated windows, more intricate windows. If what you were looking at had some kind of deeper, some kind of more elaborate pattern, you would just start to think about what you're seeing in a division kind of a way. And windows are perfect for that, because if you don't think about dividing, you're going to be looking at a long window that's very complicated. And if you tried to just sit and draw each window pane, you'd end up, it gets confusing, you know? But by starting with the large shape of the window, this is just an example, and then taking every half or every third, we get nice looking windows when we draw. Use pause if you want to, and keep this exercise going by imagining more complicated windows. Just keep dividing up those shapes in different ways. For the longest time, when I would approach something complicated, I had the hardest time organizing it in my brain. Then a friend of mine introduced me to this technique of dividing it up. It changed everything. It improved my drawing so much. Now, with all that in mind, in just a minute, you're going to use the pause button and go and get a complicated object to draw. Or you're going to go take yourself and set yourself in front of something that's complicated that you want to draw. Could be like a cabinet or something with a lot of detail on it. Just to give you an idea, I'll be drawing this cog. But now it's time for you to push pause and go and find yourself or set yourself up to do something complicated. Push pause. Okay, complicated. Drawing the cog. Okay, you ready? Let's draw. My cog is round. I start with a basic simple circle. I want you to think about the large shape of whatever it is you're drawing. And now I need to do a third division. So some things are divided, like the window we did before, in half. Sometimes you'll notice things divided into a third. And I'm just going to still keep thinking about large, and I'm making my marks nice and light as usual, but I'm just thinking about the bigger picture. You can always squint at it. And if I'm not happy, you know, I want to make these light marks because I'm not happy with them, I change them. I want all, and I'm thinking also about the negative space that I've got going in my cog, just from as in the previous lessons. Trying to think about the structure also from previous lessons, because I want each of these 1/3 sections to be pretty similar. And I'm going to start really getting some solid lines in there, but not yet, not until I've got all the basics going on. Once I've divided my thirds, I'm then going to take the outer rim of my cog, and there's a lot going on here too, so I must divide. And here it's a half, if I look at it. So from this point to this point, I make a half. Then I take these, divide those sections in half, and once more I need another division. Each of those sections gets another 1/2 division. Now I'm noticing I need to solidify a little bit more closer to a circle for my liking, but not yet, still not yet. So the cogs have a little over each of these. I'm going to try to just make them as uniform as I can, but you know, I'm still just a human, so it may not be identically perfect, but in the end this will look like a cog. So I start getting these shapes to look more cog-like. And I'm making them darker because I'm very happy with my idea that I've divided everything up. Whatever you're looking at, just think in division. Don't try to draw every little cog by going like that, because in the end it'll all be uneven. But if instead, whatever you're looking at, if you took it and divided it, then each thing would be equal. And that's what I'm going for. So again, now I've got another section in my mind here. From this point to this point, I find the half. Then that point, to that point, I find the half. Same on this side. And I go down into breaking each one of those down into half too. And I think cog shape over each little division line to try to get myself getting back into. Now I went off a little there, but I'm not going to let it bother me too much. Again, I'm still just a human. I'm going to just think cog. Okay, I've got one more section to do. Think divide, think from here to here, half. From here to here, half. Then from here to here, half. From here to here, half, half, half. Cog shapes. And then solidify. My circle may be off also. And I didn't, like I say, I'm not a machine. I didn't get it exactly perfect, but this is already looking like a really good cog. So as I solidify my shape, thinking negative space, I'm going to come in here with the lines that I know need to be darker and start to get rid of the lines that have just helped me out, the lighter lines. And I'm not worried about shading on this lesson. We're not thinking about it. This is just a draftsmanship drawing kind of lesson. So keep going with whatever you've got in front of you. And if you get kind of lost and confused, start over. Think about how it is you're dividing what you see. Maybe it's even more complicated and you've got to go in with more math. But I mean, it might be divided into thirds. It might just be half, like our window. But anytime your mind comes in your eye and you're staring at something complicated, you're going to get lost. But the second that you use this division technique, it keeps your brain to organize. Now I did something here too I want to point out. I made some of my guiding marks too dark and they're not erasing very well. That's just a lesson to learn. Because if you want to keep it clean, that's if you want to keep it clean, make sure you're making your lines lighter, the ones that you want to erase later. And either way, you get the general idea about our objects. And you really want, if you wanted, like I want to make, thinking about making these cogs even more uniform, just going in with an idea that each one of them has a particular shape. I was a little too loose with it. And they have, and I can only do that once I've laid in that general division. Now I can go back in with detail. So we start really large, then coming back in, cleaning up our detail. figuring out what it is that needs improvement. You know, each one of these little valleys in the cog, I don't know if that's what you call it, but this can be uniform, and I can go back over that. And I will keep going to make all of my details just the way I want them. An artist that inspired me to the max when it comes to this division idea is named Jean-Léon Gérôme, also French. I hope I got that right. His paintings are stunning, and they're so complex sometimes with rows of brick or tiles. I've always been in awe looking at his paintings with all those intricate tiles, just repeating patterns. But I know he started with the division technique that we're working on now. I was privileged and got to see a unfinished Gérôme painting in an exhibit, and it was fascinating to see how he divided. He had used a straight edge, and the drawing that he had made under his painting shone through because only half the painting was completed. It was the most interesting thing as an artist to see. So anyways, check out Jean-Léon Gérôme. Hope I've inspired you to keep on drawing. You got this. You got this. Have fun drawing.